Alrighty, welcome back, guys. Here the King the Cork, but this time with three of us on the show. Watto's on the show as well. Thanks for coming on today, man.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Ben's as always. So another show. Really excited for this one. After a few weeks off, come back and we're refueled and ready to go.
That's right, back again.
And NBA, there's always excitement going on in the league, and just finish up at the finals. Perfectly predicted by you.
That's
I remember
right.
You said
I
5
said Nuggets
games,
in 5.
and he nailed it on the head. But yeah, just looking at that series, guys. Like, what were your thoughts on the way the series landed up?
Yeah, like there was a lot of shade thrown at that series, to be honest with you. A lot of people thought it was quite boring. There was quite a couple of low-scoring games, but I don't know. The Heat kept it interesting, and Jokic was absolutely incredible, even though he didn't really want to be out there. Apparently,
Yeah.
Was very, very, very happy with it. Yeah, pretty great finals overall, to be honest. But yeah, a lot of skeptics about it. But I actually performed quite well.
The
in terms
viewership
of
numbers
the
were
viewership
crazy.
was
Yeah,
quite good.
yeah.
So I think these playoffs were the best viewership they've had in the last 5 years, which
Yeah.
is quite crazy comparing it against some of the other seasons we've had. I think that's because there was a lot of parity in the NBA. Like a lot of teams could make it big, but
LeBron was back.
LeBron was back. Yeah, that was huge. Absolutely,
That helps out. When you got a Steph LeBron series,
Yeah,
the playoffs, you're gonna get
yes,
viewers, right?
absolutely. Even the Kings Golden State series, that was huge.
Yeah,
It just kept going back and forth, right? Like, you had series that were just like entertaining. Like,
Yeah,
from start to finish, you didn't really have a bad. Maybe the first round, you had like the Minnesota series was a bit dead, but
or like Philly Nets.
yeah. So there you go. There's your first round. There's two
that
distinct
was
first
bad.
rounders. But like the fact that it's all come up now, that everyone likes to bring everyone else down at the same. So the Nuggets run in against an 8 seed, a 4 seed, and a 7 seed, and then the 8 seed in the Heat. But it just shows how competitive I think the finals were this year.
Oh, 100%. And even again, like people go they talk about the seeding of like who the Nuggets verse and how it wasn't that impressive or whatever. But you look at the people that he beat in the playoffs. So I think there's a combined 22 all defensive teams that were guarding Jokic, 4 defensive player of the years. Bam, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis. Like some seriously good defenders were thrown at him, and they had no answer.
The seeding lies as well. Like in the past, I think it mattered more, but with seeding now, it's like there's load management, lots of injuries. I think you saw that Lakers team after the deadline was one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think the way they beat the Warriors in a fantastic series, like to pigeonhole them as a 7 seed is completely unfair when I thought Anthony Davis was one of the 3 best players in the world this playoffs.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
okay.
saying that. Yeah, well, I was saying that as well
That's
with the
a hot
DPO, like the DPO Watto conversation. I know he doesn't play many games, but when he's on the court, like he's got to be either one of the best defensive players.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
Yeah, like,
The best, okay.
The best.
yeah.
Okay.
When you think like the Lakers, when they're at their best, is when they defend at their best,
Yeah.
and they keep saying when Anthony Davis on the courts, he put A and B together.
Yeah, sure.
You
I
say-
think if you go back to that Warriors series, every adjustment Steve Kerr made was to get Anthony Davis out of the paint.
Yeah.
So you watch the first one, they go with their motion offense. It doesn't work because the Lakers players top lock the screens. It forces them into Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So the Warriors switched to a high pick and roll for the rest of the series to try bring Anthony Davis out of the paint.
Yeah.
But I think Darvin Ham made some great adjustments throughout that series, putting him on Jeff Green, not Jeff Green, Jermichael Green.
Green,
gonna
yeah.
say.
and
Jeff Green's
other
a
players
backup.
to keep him in the paint. So I just think the way Anthony Davis played, you go back to that Memphis series as well. Memphis really struggled in the paint. I think Lakers dominated every game in points in the paint, not only because of their aggressiveness, but because of their they stopped teams in the paint.
Yeah.
Ja Morant, one of the top paint scorers in the league, didn't even score. So
Yeah.
I just think Anthony Davis, I know he lost to Jokic, but that's because Jokic is probably the best player in the world right now. So I just think it's a bit harsh to look at one series. Like Anthony Davis for me is definitely the best defender in the league.
Yeah. Like
Wow.
you mentioned about the whole seeding thing, like not lying. Like, what are your thoughts on the whole like load management idea and how it all lands up in the end of the season?
I think if you get it right, then it can really help.
Yeah.
I think we've seen that in the past. You watch Kawhi Leonard on the Raptors in 2019.
Yeah,
they
that worked.
load managed him.
Yeah.
But he still played enough games to get them into a position where there was still rhythm for the team.
Yeah, 100%.
I just think when there's like Clippers, like obviously they're the poster boy for load management, but it's one of those things where if you don't play enough games, then there's just no way I can see you winning it. And if it gets into the Bucks load managing Giannis in the playoffs, Giannis could have played.
Yeah,
that was weird.
I was gonna come on to that later, but we might
obviously, I'll finish this up. Load managing, like, it's a tricky one because it can work both ways. But right now, it's not working for most teams.
That's what I say. Like, I'm gonna bring it up later on, but I guess like, the biggest disappointment for me in this play, I was big on the Bucks in this postseason. I thought their depth, they almost had two sets of five that could start in the playoffs. I thought you can switch them around. You like the Jay Crowder, Joe Ink, like these sort of role guys that can hit shots in big moments. They've been there and done it in a few playoff runs. And I was just so disappointed the way the Bucks just went out sad almost in a way. And you look at Giannis, that guy's a competitor. I don't know what was said to keep him out. Like, I know you landed your back, but this is a guy he's an athlete. He loves to compete. I just don't know how, looking back, obviously it's a massive mistake and it's cost Buddy's job. But yeah, I just don't know what was going on right there.
It's a massive mistake. I think all you do is give the Heat momentum.
Yeah.
The thing is as well though, like a lot of the times I feel like teams aren't very transparent with what's going on in terms of injuries. Like we don't really know the extent of Giannis's injuries. Yeah. You know, even with the Clippers, man, like they didn't tell us anything. And then after the series is over, they go, oh yeah, Kawhi Leonard tore his meniscus. Yeah. It's like, hang on, bro. Like, tell us that. Yeah. Like game 2. Yeah. Like we want some clarity on this because the poor bloke's getting slammed by the media for not playing, and he's actually got a severe injury.
Just to defend the Clippers, I think Kawhi Leonard's communication, like I think every report we get out of the Clippers is that it's questionable. Like they don't know. Like is that the Clippers putting that out, or is that Kawhi Leonard not telling him? Because I think we remember the Spurs situation. Like there was a lot of
that was really suspect.
That's a while ago now, but I think looking back on it, there's red flags on the wall with Kawhi. Even though when he's on the court, he's still a top 5 player in the league.
He's one of those guys when he's on the court, you love him, but I guess if you're a fan or like a hypothetical owner of a team, like it's getting hit and miss now, right?
Oh,
like,
100%.
And you're right. Like he's a top 5 player in the league when he's on the court. He's one of those guys where it's like an AD. When you're on the court, you love him, right? He's defensive, stalwart. He can score no matter what. When he comes in, it's like he hasn't missed a second. Like he comes in and he's hitting his middies, hitting these nicer runners. And I'm thinking like, if this guy's on the court for like 40 games a season, that's the difference to the Clippers.
It's almost like you kind of question his passion for it a little bit. Like it's almost like even when he's on the court, it looks like he doesn't really want to be there. Like it's almost like a similar to kind of like a Jokic thing, I guess. But I don't know. That's a bit of a hot take. But you see him out there and he kind of looks like he doesn't really care that much. And like I get maybe that's a personality thing, but I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of other stuff going on that we don't know about.
Honestly, I probably disagree because I reckon it is his health. Like, I reckon he's got like something like degenerative or something. Like it actually is.
Like he's seen his quads, bro.
Yeah, he actually
they are crazy.
He actually can't stay on the court.
It's sad though as well because like you could say like he's one of the better players in the league when he's on the court, and you used to think if the Clippers had PG and Kawhi out there for the last few playoff runs, like we're even in a different NBA, and there's a different sort of market going on because you get another dominating big team in LA, then you got exciting matchup there. Like both teams obviously have struggled, but the Clippers have not underachieved. It feels like they've underachieved, right?
They've definitely
for the roster that's there. But I guess what the 5 blokes that walk out into the court in a playoff is obviously they haven't underachieved because they're not the standard where they come to start the season with. But I guess the worry is in the future, like you said, can you trust this guy to be like a poster boy or your number 1 player on your team?
Yeah,
big off season for the Clippers.
I think a lot of moving pieces.
I reckon going into this playoffs, it was like if it goes wrong for the Clippers, where does their team go? So I think there's lots of questions over their team. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, they've got a couple bad contracts. Marcus Morris, terrible contract. So
even Russell Westbrook too. What are they going to do with him? He was a great.
I think they're wanting him still, but they're wanting him on a lesser contract.
Yeah, team friendly contract probably. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting way they go. Do you reckon? How do they move their pieces around? I guess in this off season.
I think maybe it's time to move off of Kawhi. I think it is. Obviously, there's Bradley Beal news going around. It's like. Do you try to stay relevant and just try to like have a couple playoffs with Paul George and Bradley
sell some
Beal?
tickets?
That new stadium that's
keep the fans interested. It's Tough one.
Because that's the thing as well. I don't think we kind of realize or like look at it enough because, you know, from a fan perspective, we're like, well, you know, if you're a franchise, we want to win games, you want to do that. But a lot of teams, they just want to sell tickets. They're running it as a business. We're talking, you know, millions of dollars invested in these
Wizards.
teams. Yeah, 100%. And even the Blazers, they're like, well, having Dame in our team, we're gonna make, you know, X amount of revenue per year. Yeah. Who cares if we miss the playoffs, right? Because on the other hand, if they trade Dame, they're gonna have Anthony Simons and Shaden Sharp, and they're great players, but like that's not gonna fill out your arenas. Yeah. That's not gonna feel like I'd watch a lot of other things than those players play together. So, it's hard to look at it like that for sure. But again, at the same time, if you've got two all-star players that don't ever play and you've got so much money tied up in them, well, what's the difference, really?
Well, it's a big off-season for a lot of teams. I think the Milwaukee Bucks have got a massive off-season. Definitely need more offensive creation.
Yeah.
Phoenix is a very interesting one.
We talked about it a few weeks ago. For the sounds of it, Chris Paul wants to come back. And we were talking about just off air before, like, how does this whole contract work out with, like, waiving him and then signing him back and all this stuff? Because obviously they're trying to free up some sort of space, because I've done a fair bit of, like, looking into it. If they all come back, they all have to come back. You can't make any sort of moves unless you get just minimum guys. And we keep saying that ain't going to work now in the NBA. You need a team. So it's interesting the way they go about it, because Chris Paul wants to come back. You got Ayton's massive contract.
I reckon they're going to shift him.
And you don't get a mid-level exception anymore. In the new CBA. New rules, so it's a tough one. Unless I think DeAndre Ayton's probably the logical move.
That's the only piece that makes sense to go, right?
Man, I would have loved them on the Pacers.
Unless there is some like real value for Chris Paul, but
I just don't see any NBA games.
I
don't see that.
I reckon any teams would throw something at him for that. I reckon the Bucks would do something for Chris Paul.
You got Drew Holiday there. You've got.
I don't know. I reckon I could see that happening. I could see something like that.
I honestly see Chris Paul going, like, if he isn't with the Suns next year. Personally, I don't see him on a contender. I see him on like that OKC type team where he just sort of was just like having a bit out of fun, there providing some leadership.
Mentor,
I don't see a world where Chris Paul ever wins a championship.
Yeah, unfortunately,
unless he is back with the Suns next year and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are that good. So
he just shouldered the whole team. Because if he stays, obviously, I think we're assuming Ayton goes, so you're going to get a few guys around him and Chris Paul. So it's going to have to be a lot shouldered by those two guys. It's an interesting situation.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I was in the Suns position, like, I'd definitely be trying to ship DeAndre Ayton. Like, he was pretty terrible with these players overall, to be honest. And I think if you can move him from some nice wings, some nice depth on the in a small forward position, something like that. You can't You can't be starting Torrey Craig in a championship team. I'm sorry, and there's no depth on that team. So you could trade him for 2-3 nice players, maybe a pick or something. DeAndre Ayton's got a bit of trade value. He's quite a young player. I feel a lot of teams would have him. Dallas is quite interested in DeAndre Ayton, supposedly.
Yeah, interesting sort of.
That'd be Luka Doncic and Ayton would be a really cool combination in the front.
Yeah.
Front court.
Anyone move the needle though that they can get off Dallas?
Don't know.
That's the problem,
Dallas,
though, right?
They got nothing.
But then,
Dwight Powell, Davis Bertans, maybe.
Like, you talk about Dallas, I'm thinking about like the defense, what they want, and Ayton in the paint is a bit of a weak sort of.
Luka for Ayton swap.
Straight swap. Get that done.
Sorry, that's egregious.
I guess we're talking about constructing teams, right? And we've been how big and how good the Nuggets have been constructed. Looking at that team and how well set up they are, they're a young core, they've got people under contract. Do you think this is a start of something like a special sort of dynasty here for the Nuggets?
Oh, dude, 100%. Like, that's this kind of whole shift in the NBA at the moment. We've talked a lot about this in previous podcasts, but about kind of how the whole way that teams are built has just changed a lot recently. Yeah. Like, teams have got very impatient. They've traded for big players. They haven't really drafted very well, in terms of building their roster around those types of players. But Nuggets are setting a new precedent. That's been kind of carried on from what the Bucks have done, carried on from what the Golden State Warriors have done as well. Drafted Jamal Murray, drafted Nikola Jokic, kept Michael Malone around for 8 years, which is like pretty long.
It's a long time.
Long period for a coach.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I think it was good. There wasn't a lot of pressure for the Nuggets. I don't think. I think in terms of. I think that's also a reason. Like, if you're on the Lakers, there's pressure to win straight away. There's a lot bigger market, things like that.
Yeah.
But this team has all the right pieces to move forward. Jokic is quite young as well, 28. Well, younger. Jamal Murray as well. Michael Porter Jr. is only going to get better.
Yeah. I hope he keeps shooting that ball.
Ish Smith is still there. We've got him providing some versatility.
I just think the important thing about what the Nuggets did right is they showed patience within their rebuild.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have easily traded away. You could have easily traded Jamal Murray away when he was tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Stick fat. They did get a couple draft picks wrong. I remember famously they trade away Donovan Mitchell on draft night. So I think it's important that teams realise that they are going to get some decisions wrong.
Yeah.
But it was a patient build. It was a long build. You go through. They had a couple rough years early. I think they knew where their roster was at, and that's the important thing. So when you try to rush what your roster is and you don't know where your team is, that'll set you back 5 years.
Yeah.
You trade away young players too early, you don't get enough value for them. You have old players. And they almost did it perfectly, to be honest. Their additions this year, Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown.
Even Christian Braun, now a lot's
Christian
been made.
Braun.
Even a lot's been made of it now. But I remember watching throughout, when you tune in for, I'd tune in for a few Nuggets games because they were always the number one seed, and it's that you're right, the versatility, their depth and numbers, and the likes of the Christian Brauns, the Bruce Browns, I've been big on KCP. These guys are guys that can come in and do a job, and they won't make a fuss about their play time, their defensive structure. They defend as a team. They've got players who can have special moments, being big on Aaron Gordon as well. Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, the two guys I was big on this playoff run. Aaron Gordon's taken on some of the best players in the NBA and done a great job. And
his defense has been crazy.
It's been outstanding. And that defensive switch has come recently. He was the dunk contest guy a few years back. Now he's that guy on both ends of the floor and gets it done. But I guess I'm thinking it's just in my opinion, it comes a bit handy when you're not a big, like you said, not a massive market team. Denver's it's probably not a small market, but it's not, the Lakers, not the Clippers. It's not, one of those ones. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of eyes on you. So you have time to sort of sit there and hold your cards before you play your card almost. And they've had time to mature these guys. I think it's a great call about the Jamal Murray thing. That could have flipped very quickly. They've made a Western Conference Finals a few years back. Didn't quite go well. The injuries happen. Do you blow it up and start again? But they stuck patient.
Another sliding doors moment is when they had Nurkic and Jokic and they identified the proper player. I think they move on from Nurkic. They trade him to the Blazers. They give Jokic that starting role and it took off from there.
Yeah.
He sold.
What a find from Malone though. Malone, you keep saying I saw it from you can obviously say that now, but to actually keep with him,
he really believed in that team, and you see him going on about. It's kind of funny. There's a couple of things that he says a couple of times. The Lakers live rent free in his head a little bit, and he's always going on you're always talking about the Lakers and we win games. Even if it's about the Lakers lost the game rather than Nuggets winning and things like that. But then you see as well in his huddles, he's always talking about family. He's we're family. He's building that foundation, which is quite an interesting sort of team culture. But then again, if we compare that to the Lakers, for example, as a young player, you don't really want to start on the Lakers. The Lakers have traded away so many good young players for that type of reason, and they've really messed up in terms of building for the future. They're going to be in a bit of trouble after this sort of Anthony Davis, LeBron James thing sort of teeters out. They had Julius Randle, Lonzo Ball, D'Angelo Russell. They've had a lot of good players on their team.
It's the sacrifice you have to make to win a championship, though.
Oh, so, no, you're right.
As much as Julius Randle, Lonzo Ball, D'Angelo Russell, where's that actually going? Brandon Ingram.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the reality is you do that trade every day of the week. And Anthony Davis had a fantastic playoff run in the bubble. He's had another fantastic playoff run then. And, maybe if they do have 2020 LeBron in this team, they are a championship.
No, look. I agree at 100%. I think if you're a team, you make those moves absolutely. But what I'm saying is more in terms of a long-term foundational building around young players. There's just the way the Lakers approach and the Nuggets approach has been very different. And 100%. You trade Anthony Davis. You can't take anything away from that ring that they won. You would do the same thing.
It makes sense in the sense of what I'm trying to say. If you're a big market team, you got eyes on you. You have the opening tips normally in LA. And there's eyes, and you got to sort of make those moves because, like you sort of said, Lonzo Ball struggled under the spotlight. That first year was hard to watch.
Oh,
And he's sort of obviously unfortunate with the injuries now, but he's sort of resurgence recently with the Bulls.
He can
prior to
shoot
the injury.
now. He can shoot.
You can sure
when he
the
plays.
talent's there, but you're right. Coming as a rookie into LA, it's hard work. Or like the bigger teams. Even nowadays, the Golden State team, like it hasn't really worked out for all. Like even in these playoff runs, it was the old heads doing the job, right?
Yeah.
It was your Draymonds, your Wiggins, it was your Currys. It wasn't
Moses
Kumingas or
Moody.
Moody's of the world. Yeah,
Moses Moody, I think, is a good player though.
Oh,
Oh no, I think
He's a real player.
I think he's a player.
Jordan Poole, they probably move off, and
Jordan
probably
Poole,
Kuminga as
man.
well.
Oh
they
my
are regretting that
goodness.
contract. They are regretting
He
that.
has been
big time.
terrible, bro. She's like 36% from the field throughout the playoffs.
I'm
something
very
like that. 10
optimistic
points,
about the Warriors.
10 points
though.
a game. What in terms
you
of what
can't-
this season?
You can't.
Next season, I'm very optimistic.
What
about
are
the
you
Warriors.
thinking? What's
Well,
your
I
prediction?
just think-
What's your hot take right now, Watto?
Well, my hot take about the Warriors is that if the Nuggets don't win the championship, the Warriors will. And I think that because Steph Curry is probably the second best player in the world. So,
Well, yeah.
and I've always said, like, for the past 10 years, like Jokic, you watch how much he made his teammates better this year. I think Jokic, Steph Curry, and LeBron James are the three best offensive engines in basketball for the past 10 years. Steph Curry, I've never seen a player more for defense so much. There's just so much pressure. His teammate, he just makes life so much easier for his teammates. Obviously, peak LeBron, like it speaks for itself. Like,
Yeah.
and Jokic this year,
Just look at that.
I think before when we were talking about roster building, KCP, Aaron Gordon, Bruce, these are nice players.
Yeah.
Any team in the league could have had these players, and we're probably scapegoating them as like, Aaron Gordon, can you make some threes?
Yeah.
Bruce Brown, your playmaking's terrible.
Come on, Bruce.
Like, Bruce Brown hit an open shot, but when you have Jokic, you see these players come into a new life, and we haven't had the Jokic conversation yet, but he's a special. He makes everyone a million times better.
That 1-2 game between him and Aaron Gordon is ridiculous. People say stuff about the Nuggets not being entertaining, but they are not watching. They are not paying attention, man. Like, honestly, even just like the alley oops, bro, between those two players. What are we talking about? How is that not good basketball? Like, you watch it is beautiful. Like the European coaches you have at school or whatever, Bob, he would have loved to watch the Nuggets play.
You talk about the 1-2 game. How impressive is Jokic handling the ball from outside the arc and Jamal Murray setting the screen for him? Like, how crazy
funny.
is that? Like, that's how versatile it is. And I think it's a good point you raised, Watto. Like, LeBron, like a prime LeBron and like a Jokic now, it's crazy how familiar like their games are. They just see the game. They have the ball now, but they can see the game happening in front of them. They find the KCPs of the world for those open threes, or can set up and allow Jamal Murray to do his work. It's just, I think it's underrated sort of comparison that you could throw up there. Like, I'm thinking like your 2016, well, probably not 2018, 2019, LeBron was at his like peak. And look at what Jokic has just done in this series. Like, the ability to see the game, the ability to read, read sort of defensive sets and make a good look for their teammates is underrated, 100%.
Yeah, obviously people won't talk about this Nuggets team as an all-time great playoff team, but I think what we've seen in this playoff run, and I think it was their record, was 2 losses. Might have been 2 or 3 losses for the whole playoff run.
I think it's
So
yeah, that's right.
It kind of this Nuggets team kind of reminds me of the 2015 Spurs team, or no, 2014, 2014 Spurs team when they beat Miami. It's just like the way they move the ball almost doesn't have an answer.
Yeah,
it's like you think about like the Boris Diaws and the Patty Mills.
Yeah, they're real
like they look like world beaters in that Spurs team, and that's the way I think about this Nuggets team. It's like there's not really an answer for the way they play.
If they keep all their pace as well, which is likely, right, with the contracts and the age, like that's how easy that is just to go back again. Like you said, to face like a Warriors team, if they come back with a similar sort of group, that's 2 set groups, and it'll be exciting sort of head-to-head contest next year.
Well, the problem is, though, in terms of what are you talking about Golden State next year, but what would a team like Golden State do about Jokic? Like, what's the answer for him? I don't know. Well, is it going to be a kind of...
It's a bit of like foul trouble and get him moving. Because
like, make him score and like eliminate his passing ability? That's kind of what Miami did in Game 3, I believe.
Yeah, I just think if the Warriors are able to like pull together a better roster, like moving off of Jordan Poole. Maybe that's for like a wing player. Like I don't know, like who's out there. Maybe like just like throwing names out there, like a DeAndre Hunter or something like that. Just not saying he would fix the Warriors.
It's a unique fit for a Warriors team.
Moving some pieces. Maybe they get
DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, maybe they get someone at center, unlike Kevin Looney, that is a rim threat. So
Miles Turner
and that
option always out there.
Miles Turner would be awesome on that team.
Yeah, exactly. Miles Turner. I just think like obviously with Steph Curry, we saw him in the Lakers series like at times just like absolutely killing them.
Yeah,
and I just think the Nuggets wouldn't have an answer for Steph Curry either. So I think as much as the Jokic Jamal Murray pick and roll is unguardable, so is a Steph Curry pick and roll. You saw as soon as they went to high pick and roll, they got good looks almost every possession.
If you get Jokic out there in the perimeter, like I know everyone's underrating his defense, but if you get him out there in the perimeter and working him up and down the court, tiring that guy out, you're gonna have some sort of success eventually, especially with Steph Curry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just pick it up, like a few trade rumors going around at the moment. Obviously, Miami, a great playoff run to get where they were from where they were, like
insane.
2 minutes away from being knocked out in the play-in game to forcing us a win in NBA Finals when no one had them much of a chance at all. Rumoured links with Dame and Bradley Beal to help Jimmy Butler out there. Thoughts on that?
So with that one, Tyler Hero obviously did not play in the finals.
Disappointing.
He didn't play all playoffs except for when he hurt his arm.
He suited up as well.
You see that? He suited up, but he doesn't play basketball in the playoffs. he basically didn't play. So if you're able to move off Tyler Hero, maybe another piece, and all of a sudden
Duncan Robinson maybe?
But essentially Bradley Beal is injected instead of Tyler Hero or especially Damian Lillard, then we're probably talking about a team that will be going back to the finals next year.
Yeah.
Because the problem with the Heat has always been that their half-court offenses are terrible. Like their shot creation is absolutely atrocious. Like we're relying on Max Strus getting 20 and we're relying on Duncan Robinson getting 15. Yeah. And Gabe Vincent or Caleb Martin or whatever picking up 15 points a game, something like that. And we saw that in the finals. You can't rely on that consistently. And I think particularly in the Bucks series, Miami shot ridiculously well from three. And oh no. Okay, we spilled some water in here.
We move.
But yeah,
It's gonna be a funny one.
Yeah. But for example, with the Heat, they were 26th in offensive rating, 28th in defensive rating throughout the year. So they really did need to make some moves for sure. And I think, half-court offense. And then Jimmy Butler, when Jimmy Butler's not aggressive, that team has nothing on offense. I was
going to say, obviously that ankle injury must have done something from that Knicks series because as the playoffs went deeper, he looked more tired and less aggressive, right?
Yeah.
And it took it trying to save the series just the Celtics for him to actually almost come out of his shell again. So I don't know how much that sort of impacted upon his sort of running in the sort of late half of the Eastern Conference Finals and the finals itself. But it's clear to say they need someone else to help Jimmy out.
Yeah, you saw his averages drop heaps. He went from 37 a game in the first round. I think he finished on about 23, 40% from the field, 33% from three, something like that.
Yeah.
He struggled after the first round.
If you're going to Gabe Vincent pick and rolls, he is a good pick and roll player, but not as your primary ball handler in the playoffs. So I just think you put a Damian Lillard into that team. Damian Lillard changes your franchise.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
That's 30 points.
He 100% changes the franchise. I know he's been on Portland, but he made conference finals runs by himself. So
he got swept by the Warriors in that one.
Also knocked out your Thunder. So
So
the Colts might.
That one hit deep. Bro.
So you see Damian Lillard's ability to shoot the ball completely changes your franchise.
He's a top 5 probably shooter of all time as well. I think he's definitely in that conversation.
You stretch the floor so Jimmy and Bam can get to work, right?
Yeah,
it helps them out.
The thing is about getting Dame is you have to get him without getting rid of Bam Adebayo. You got to keep Bam and Jimmy Butler. I think everyone else is whatever.
Some of the playoff runs from some of the role guys probably actually help the Heat out. Yeah, because they've got value now. They got value now.
Yeah. Don't know what Max Strus has got, but the other guys for sure.
Enough.
Eric Spoelstra's track record and the Miami Heat's track record of finding and developing players, I don't see them moving off a couple of these players and being hurt too badly in their depth.
No.
Yeah. They always find a way to make it in the finals. I think it's sort of like them and the Warriors have made every final since like 2013 or something.
Yeah,
stupid
I saw that
stat,
stat as well. Yeah,
Caleb Martin was on the end of the Hornets rotation.
Yeah.
And then he scores 130 points in a playoff series in the conference
incredible.
finals.
Explain that.
Low-key, like, there was conversation that he could have got the Eastern Conference Finals MVP there, but, you know. That was
I
interesting.
argue, like,
Although it was, you know, it was statistically interesting.
You
You
can
compared their
argue the
numbers.
facts,
He
yeah, yeah.
shot insanely well. Look, I'll give it to Jimmy Butler, you know, 10 times out of 10, but it was interesting that was even dialogue, to be honest.
when
comparing
they
those two
needed him, he
players.
did stuff. Like he was pulling up in big moments when they needed
Oh,
him.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a fantastic series from him.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still give it to Jimmy Butler. But,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, there was definitely conversation around it. And I think that is, you know, whether or not that's about narrative or whatever else, but I think he was good enough for that to even come up. Is quite crazy.
Deserved his props.
Deserve his props.
Another trade flying around at the moment. Obviously, the whole Zion controversies are going around at the moment. But the trade maybe for pick 2. So obviously the Pelicans land Scoot a proper point guard to help them out in their sort of future endeavors. And they move off Zion, who really hasn't really worked, I guess, for the Pelicans. Always unavailable. The whole weight problem and the like.
Off-court drama.
Yeah, off-court drama now as well. I love a bit of Scott Henderson. So I'd love to see how him and Brandon Ingram would look together. Do you reckon this sort of goes through? Do you reckon it'll go through as an option?
I think the Hornets would be bloody stupid to do that.
I don't.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
see it
Obviously,
happening.
people don't think LaMelo Ball and Scoot Henderson can play together, but I have a completely different perspective on that. I also think the Pelicans, like, this is your guy. Like, this is who you won the
Yeah.
lottery for.
Yeah.
This is who you've put your max contract in. I think to bail out on that on year 1 of the contract would would be stupid. And I think we've seen time and time again that smaller point guards aren't outside of Steph Curry. Are we really talking about them as NBA champions?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Unless they're your number 2.
Isaiah
Yeah.
Thomas. No,
Shout out small
I
guys.
100% agree with Watto there, to be honest. Like, Zion Williamson, when he has been on the court, and, you know, it might take a couple of years to really figure out him playing consistent minutes and actually things like that. But we're talking a guy that, you know, 26 points a game this season when he was playing. And I don't think you're going to move that off for the off chance that's, you know, some guy called Scoot Henderson's going to be really good for them. We don't know what that looks like. And again, you tied up a lot of money with him as well. You've got a couple other young guys as well. And when Zion was playing, New Orleans was the best team in the West. They were literally, by record, the best team in the West. So whether or not, it might even be like a health staff kind of change. They've got to really figure out some things there and manage him properly.
That for me is where you're weighing it up, right? Do you want to invest in that? Oh, he'll play 35 games, he'll be back for 5 and have to sit again. Then here comes the playoffs again. You talk about that continuity thing. It's hard for the Pelicans, right? Because they are awesome when they're all on the court together. You know, BI's on the court, Larry Nance on the court. They're all together with Zion. They look really, really good. But the fact is the last few seasons they've looked good, but then he's sat out because of his stress injuries or the hamstring tear recently, and it just hasn't worked out for them. I understand the point of backing him in, but I love it. I love it as Scoot Henderson and Brandon Ingram together on a New Orleans team. And I get from the Hornets point of view, I get the point of the trade, but you're right. Shipping a lot, like a 2 pick for Zion Williamson, which, like I've just been saying, it's hit and miss, right? So, but Charlotte's sort of that sort of franchise. I'll stuff things up.
And even as well, even for the Hornets too, like, you know, you've got 2 kind of point guards, like very ball dominant players, and then we'll go and Scoot Henderson if that's what happens. But at the end of the day, I think when you're a team like the Hornets, you take the best player that you can get, and I think that is Scoot Henderson after Victor. So you take him, you know, whatever, 2 years' time, you figure out, it's one of those things where you figure out that LaMelo's a better player or better fit or whatever else, and you roll with them. Like, it's kind of like what happened with Monte Ellis and Steph Curry. They had 2 point guards at the same time.
I think the recent version of Monte Ellis and Steph Curry is Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox. We see
That works.
I think you see a lot of people going, this doesn't work together. This is never going to work. And maybe it didn't work at the time, but you move off him, you get DeMontis Sabonis, and Sacramento's back, baby.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I love Sabonis.
Yeah.
I don't love Sabonis.
He's a hustler. He does his job.
He's a baby Jokic. He was pretty ass in the playoffs. I think that's kind of what it doesn't like him, I'm assuming.
Yeah. No, well, there's just previous experiences.
A bit of DeMontas.
I don't know what that's about, but
Also, August, other things I'll let touch on. Obviously, talked a little bit about before Chris Paul and also James Harden out there in the market, I guess. We talked about Chris Paul before. Is there a fit for James Harden elsewhere other than Houston?
Obviously, Houston's the talk, but James Harden is the interesting one.
Why would he go to Houston? Like I can understand. It doesn't really make a lot of sense in terms of
I actually think
his
he'll be
legacy.
back in Philadelphia.
I think so too.
Well, I don't see
We're
anyone
gonna
else
play
going
with
after him.
Sengun. There's no one on that team. I'm sorry, Kevin Porter Jr. Sure, but I think James Harden. It's kind of he just likes having the ball and being able to do whatever he wants with it. And I think that's maybe where the rumors have kind of come from. But if he's someone that wants to compete and finish with a good legacy in terms of his future, and the best place to compete is gonna be Philadelphia for him at the moment.
The thing, James Harden's been scapegoated, and he did have a couple bad performances, especially Game 7 was terrible.
Very bad.
And B didn't do
But-
anything either.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
He wins you Game 1 on the road.
He's won
45.
He wins you Game 1 on the road without Embiid, and he wins you another game
Yeah.
with 45 points. And if that's your number 2 option, and he wins you 2 games in a playoff series in the conference finals, then I'm not overly upset. I just Joel Embiid has to be better, and I think the Joel Embiid conversation's real. He's the MVP.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a top 5 player in the league though, and I think
I think
that's
that's fair point.
and Joel Embiid, he has lots of excuses. He's always injured. But at what point, if you're always injured, are you just injured?
Yeah.
Is that
just you?
Is that just you as a player? 100%.
If you're always injured, then I guess that's just you.
This is supposed to be the run, right? This is the whole Jokic and B. This is the year, the Jokic and
Yes.
B. And you fault and go down like that. And I think you're right. It shouldn't be James Harden's fault, and it shouldn't fall on the other guys as well. It shows a lack of depth in the team because Embiid wasn't doing enough. Obviously the depth is lacking, and it's probably not that depth's probably not championship like the Nuggets are.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was falling on them so heavily because he was out or not performing in those sort of last few games there, it shouldn't be that, because it should be Embiid and Harden in the scoring.
The thing is, you look at the roster though, and they still have a lot of players that can at the end of the day, you've got Tyrese Maxey, you've got James Harden, you've got Joel Embiid, and you've got Tobias Harris. Those guys can all give you 20 points a game, and any night.
Tobias Harris is your problem, I think.
Yeah, and I just think Tobias Harris, look, he's questionable at times, but I think at the end of the day, Philly has done everything for Joel Embiid. They've done whatever he's wanted, and he hasn't pulled through in the playoffs. He had the highest points per game drop in the playoffs out of NBA, any sort of MVP in history. He doesn't come through when he's needed to, and I think it's kind of ironic that we've seen him kind of cry about not getting MVP for the last 2 seasons, and then this year he loses, and then Jokic, the guy that should have won it and won the last 2 seasons over Embiid, goes off and wins everything and plays like an absolute animal. Yeah, that's a very interesting
Fair
narrative.
argument,
It's crazy that's kind of lined up like that.
Yeah.
I think you see how many iterations of this Philadelphia 76ers team do you need to get to a conference finals? You see what Jimmy Butler's done on his own team, and that was their best chance to make the conference finals. And
That was a seriously good team as well.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, that's probably the best fit. I think this is another Jimmy Butler conversation, but you see Jimmy Butler, he that was their best team.
Yeah.
And they lose to the Kawhi shot, which is
1 in a million.
He travelled.
you need he did travel, but
Don't do
I watched it live, bro. I saw.
Don't do Drizzy like that.
you need a bit of luck in the NBA, and they don't get it then, and you move on. But they first round exits in the bubble. Then
That was embarrassing.
that was and then the Ben Simmons series against
Atlanta, yeah.
and then
He was
and then now it continues with this. Where's this going?
It's funny because you sort of labelled them, right? You got the Ben Simmons series, you've got the Kawhi series. So the blame's not been on Embiid, right? And then this one, I think you can almost single-handedly point Embiid, this one's on you, man. This is the one you were supposed to do well for us.
Last one as well with the face. When are you going to be on the court, bro?
Yeah, the last few, I understand you can point and direct away from Embiid, but this one sort of solely falls on him, right? This is his team. This was his year. This was the whole big men debate. They're going to meet in the no.
You go out and get PJ Tucker with your mid-level. You bring in some good bench pieces. Shake Milton's a real piece.
I think
he's nice.
So and you're paying Tobias Harris, who many people don't like, but he's a big wing who shoots the ball
Yeah, 'cause
quite
he
well.
shoots it, yeah.
So he's a real player
Yeah.
that you can have out on the court. And you have James Harden, you have Tyrese Maxey. It's like, is it time to give Tyrese Maxey the ball more?
We were talking about that before. Go at it, man.
Yeah, I think Tyrese Maxey, when we've seen him in a lot of games where James Harden hasn't played, he's played really, really well. Like I think it was his rookie season actually. He got 37 points in one of those games, hit a couple threes. Yeah. Tyrese Maxey, I think he's got a lot. He's just being held back there, and I think we've got. I saw a stat today actually. James Harden, he led the league in dribbles per possession at 5.7, which is crazy. And I think, James Harden's he's a great player, 100%. But when you've got Tyrese Maxey there as well next to him, there's a lot of potential there that we're not really utilising at the moment. And I think maybe sort of trying to get Harden to sort of play a little bit off ball, particularly as he gets a bit older and stuff like that. And I don't know if he's really got that in him as well.
Is Harden capable of playing off ball? Like, is
I don't know. He never really has been. Oh, actually, that's not true.
Well, I guess it's sort of progressed, right? It was shooter on now rating like the last 2 to 3 point guard, but can you go back to just being the spot up shooter?
Well, I don't know. A spot up shooter is probably that's.
Oh no, not that far. But get the ball in Maxi's hand. Maxi wins what they call it, sort of thing. Like, can we transition that way? Because I like Maxi. We like the way Maxi goes about it.
With James Harden as a more of an off-ball player that's pretty scary because he can shoot and he's like a great playmaker and things like that as well.
The thing about players like James Harden is when you have players taking 8 pounds of dribble, you're not on the move. Like you see when Jokic has the ball, everyone's moving.
Yeah, moving around.
But they're just watching James Harden. Like, how does that give rhythm to your team?
It doesn't.
You watch it with Mavericks, like
with Luka. Yeah,
Luka's heroics get them to the conference finals, but the other players don't
do anything. Yeah.
You watch Steph Curry against the Lakers. The Lakers forced Steph Curry to beat them 1-on-1.
Yeah,
and you see the Warriors missing shots they would normally make. That's because they're not in rhythm. So
it's a great
it's
point.
like when you're forcing players to beat you 1-on-1.
And even we saw that with the Rockets as well. Like they had some sort of good player pushes and things like that, but they were relying on James Harden getting 36 points a game or whatever else.
That was ISO ball, basically.
ISO ball.
Yeah.
Probably that. I'm sorry, but that is the most boring brand of basketball that I've ever seen. I don't care what anyone says. That those Houston teams were so. There was three offensive sets. There was nothing.
But that's like you make it far, but you literally win or lose games by like 10, 15 points because it's either you're on or you're off. Because
when they missed 23 straight threes or something like that in Game 6 against.
It feeds into that Trae Young conversation. You watch Atlanta Hawks play basketball.
Yeah.
What are they going to run? A high pick and roll. The other 3 people spacing the floor.
Spit out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that where you want to go as a team? And that's the development in Luka's game that I think he has to find.
Needs to happen. Yeah, 100%.
Which is not to say that you can't have him play like how he plays, because at the end of games and at the end of possessions, like you just have to have players that can do that.
Yeah. No,
but within the flow of a game, is that what you want to be?
You need players to get touches, right? Like we just saw with the Nuggets, everyone gets a touch in every possession, right? And it's a mobile offense. It's 5 guys moving around, making different triangles everywhere almost. Yeah. You need something like that. And you're right though, but coming back to it, I just don't think James Harden has a fit anywhere else that, like similar to Chris Paul, that would work. I can't really see him going anywhere else.
No,
it just doesn't really line up.
Yeah, it doesn't work playing like that. It's that everyone's like, LeBron, you got to drive every time. You got to put your shoulder into him, bro. Get to the rim, bro. It's like, well, like you can't do that every possession.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily
tiring. Yeah. You lose your legs. You start missing threes.
Yeah,
it ruins the rhythm of the team.
Again, that's why the Nuggets work so well, because everyone is so involved.
That's why the Warriors work as well.
It's like if you're playing basketball with your mates and you've got that one guy that just dribbles out the clock every single time, and you're just standing there and you're going, man, that is, at the end of the day, like they can be so good, but you would rather someone else take a shot and they hit it 50% of the time rather than them putting up 25 shots and making 7 or whatever else. And even though they may be a better player,
100%.
There's better looks that you can get, and you want to keep the team involved as well. Because then you can see other teams, like players explode. You can go see Aaron Gordon dropping 27, or you can see Bruce Bowen doing stuff on the fast break. MPJ doing his thing.
Never passed the test.
Pass the rock, Aaron. Pass the rock, MPJ.
I've never lived a day we would pass. He's a shooter. My man's a shooter. He's a shooter.
He's a fun player.
He's a shooter.
I rate him.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, with that all being said, it just wraps it up this week. Thank you both for coming on. It's really good to have all three of us on at one time and bring it back in a few weeks' time again as well. Hope you guys all enjoyed the episode. Please like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. And I'll see you guys for another episode very soon.